Huge. Although, be it very rare. I guess rare. Would you consider it rare?
Yeah, I would consider it rare, but it does come up, as you saw, it does come up on occasion.
Which is always an interesting find. Let me ask you, other than UFOs and ghosts, SGRA, what do they do? I mean, are you involved into any other aspects of the paranormal out there researching?
Well, we're involved in cryptozoology a lot, which is the study of mysterious creatures. We do a lot of research into that, and we also do a lot of research into government cover-ups and things like government agencies and overpowerful government agencies, things like that.
That's always a fun topic. Now let me get you back to cryptozoology, which is a fascinating topic, one I don't know much about. Tell me about some of those strange and mysterious creatures that you guys are out there looking for.
Well, we do have a lot of them that are actually here in Connecticut. There's been a lot of Native American legends and things like that about mysterious creatures here in Connecticut. But we also research the larger creatures that people know about, like Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster, and we keep track of the latest news and the latest information coming out from there. And, it's really quite interesting because I do believe that these creatures exist, and it's only a matter of time before we actually get to see them.
Now, let's go back to Bigfoot. There's been some recent headlines about Bigfoot, and I've fully admit I'm not in tune as much as I want to be on that. Can you update us on the most recent headlines? Are you familiar with what's going on?
Well, the most recent headlines was that someone supposedly found a dead carcass of a Bigfoot, but it turned out to be a hoax.
It was a hoax, okay.
It was a hoax, and that was a big deal because the media actually picked up on that one and was running with it for a couple days.
Oh, of course. It's a hoax.
Yeah.
I mean, they love that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Now, is there any credible coverage or evidence of Bigfoot?
Well, there is. There's been a lot of credible coverage, and just like the UFO phenomenon and the ghost phenomenon, there's a lot of witnesses that have come forward and reported things who have had no reason to make up the stories, no reason to lie or to try to get anything out of it. Mm-hmm. And, so that's been very interesting.
Now, what about your investigations? What kind of stuff have you found? Have you found tracks or hair samples? Or
we have found some tracks, and here in Connecticut we were actually out at one of the state parks doing an investigation and following up on some tracks that were discovered there. And, it's really quite interesting because these things are turning up, and something's making them, that's for sure.
Now, how big were the tracks? I mean, what made these so different from a human walking barefoot?
Well, the tracks were, first of all, they were in a highly wooded area, which would be really difficult for someone to walk with bare feet in it because it would hurt a lot. They were also quite large. They were about more than a foot larger than a regular human's foot.
Wow.
And, there were several of them. So
5 toes, or were there 5 toes?
There were 5 toes, I believe.
Interesting. We're talking Bigfoot with Jon Nowinski from the Smoking Gun Research Agency. Been a fascinating hour, which is zooming by way too quickly. But there's still more coming up right here on BVRN, the Black Vault Radio. Stay tuned. Back to the Black Vault Radio. We're finishing up with Jon Nowinski of the Smoking Gun Research Agency. We've talked about ghosts, we've talked about UFOs, and I had no idea we'd get on Bigfoot. Now, John, you saw some tracks out there in the wilderness that were, safe to say, convinced that they were not human tracks?
Yeah, I mean, from all that we've seen, we were pretty convinced.
Very interesting. Now, you said 5 toes, and you said you saw multiple tracks. What do you do with evidence like that? I mean, when you hear it, you go, wow, that's fascinating. But then what? What does the investigator do?
Well, the best we can do is document it as best as possible. We get down just like a CSI would in the field. We get down with measurements. We get down as close as we can with photography and getting as good photographs as we can so we can document the whole entire area. Mm-hmm.
And do you have to coordinate with the national? You said it was a national park that you were at?
Yeah, we were there. We were at a state park.
A state park. Do you have to coordinate with the state and get permission to say, hey, we're out there looking for Bigfoot? Or
we didn't have to coordinate with them, but we did contact them to see if they had received any reports or anything like that, which is something we always do, with UFO reports as well. We always contact the state agencies and see if they happen to have heard anything or seen anything or gotten any reports from anyone.
And what is their response to that?
Well, a lot of times they laugh it off, but sometimes they actually do come through with things, and sometimes they have heard things or seen things, and sometimes you get the right person who's willing to talk about it.
Now, there's always, and as with UFOs or ghosts, there's that preconceived notion, but Bigfoot, that's not real. Come on. And like you said, you get a lot of laughs along the way. But you bring up a couple people that do kind of either take it seriously or have some stuff to report. What kind of stuff do you hear? I mean, do state officials take that seriously, or do some of them, do you find that?
Well, some of them do, and some of them do have their own stories, and they're willing to share. It's always a matter of who you get and who you can find. And
what kind of stories do you hear? Sightings, or just, hey, I knew a guy who saw something?
Mostly sightings. Sometimes it's, they happen to hear a story that somebody had seen something, and they're willing to pass that story along.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you, other than Bigfoot, what kind of stuff do you investigate over there in Connecticut, or outside of the walls of Connecticut?
Well, we mainly do the same things. There's been some lake monsters supposedly sighted here and things like that, so we stick close to those stories.
Interesting. Well, really fascinating stuff, Jon. For those of you who have missed the website, www.sgra-media.org. Jon, is there any other contact method that you want to put out there for people to contact you, or is the website the best way?
The website's really the best way. They can also contact us by email at sgra@sgramedia.org.
And there's a dash in there between the SGRA. Okay, sgra@sgra-media.org. Email Jon or visit him online, www.sgra-media.org. Jon, it's been an absolute fascinating hour. We've got to have you on again, and we'll talk more about your cryptozoology research. And please, by all means, at any time, give me a call. Give me an update on what you guys are doing.
Yep, sounds good.
Great. And thank you all for listening to the Black Vault Radio Network. Check out more podcasts of my show, Black Vault Radio, with myself on www.blackvaultradio.com. And for those of you who have missed it, there are hundreds of hours of other podcasts and radio shows now available that are broadcast on BVRN, the Black Vault Radio Network. Make sure you don't miss it, because there's lots of good stuff to download and listen to. And again, www.blackvaultradio.com. My special thanks to Jon Nowinski from the Smoking Gun Research Agency. Jon, thanks again for joining me.
Glad to be here.
And thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time right here on the Black Vault Radio.